one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Maybe see you. Call the meeting to order. I'll ask Deputy Clerk to call the roll.
Barnes.
Here.
Hastings.
Here.
Lynch.
Here.
Pistol.
Here.
Ward.
Here.
Williams.
Here. Entertain a motion to second to approve the agenda as presented.
Make a motion to approve? Second.
Any discussion? I'll ask for a vote.
Barnes.
Yes.
Hastings.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Pistol.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Have in front of you the minutes for the September 14th meeting and the monthly financials. I entertain a motion second for the approval as presented.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? I'll ask for a roll call on that.
Barnes.
Yes.
Hastings.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Pistol.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brings us down to, bear with me, airport. Had a meeting Monday. Joey Wallace taking over for Dan Clinton, talked about some grants that are upcoming. Also, Trevor Dawson, his son, is going to take over as a manager, replacing Wade Wary. They both work for Will. The city doesn't pay them, but there's something to kind of run right hard on what's going on at the airport and keep an eye on the field and stuff. So they work for Dawson. So Trevor's getting some new blood in there, so that'll be good. And I think we'll invite him to the next council meeting. He talked about a workshop they had for getting kids interested in aviation, which is a good idea. And they had a really good turnout for that. I think he's I'd like to come and introduce him to everybody. The other thing we talked about is filling the spot for Jimmy Kidd. We've been after Harvey Swift for a while to get on the commission, but you have to live within the state of Arkansas, your primary residence. Well, I think he ran off to Texas or somewhere. But anyway, he's back. And Harvey, if you want to get up and introduce yourself, this is Harvey Swift.
Yeah, I'm Harvey Swift. We have a house up at Holly Mountain Air Park. And what the mayor was talking about, we moved down to Texas for 3 years to be next to our grandkids. Well, they've grown up now, and so we came back. So we were residents of Texas. I have been for a long time because I worked there and everything. But my background is I retired U.S. Navy, was a pilot in the Navy, flew tactical airplanes off of aircraft carriers, and then went to work for Southwest Airlines, worked for them for 20 years. I was a captain there for 15 of those 20 years. We got about 20,000 hours of flight time. And so that's basically my history. So like I said, the mayor's been after me for a couple of years now, but the problem with just not being a resident. Now that I am a resident, I told the mayor to go ahead and move it forward.
Appreciate you considering it. I said I appreciate you considering it and stepping into that. Any questions for him? I think a lot of you know you here, and some I think you're more than qualified. So appreciate you coming tonight. Like I said, we'd get you up there right off the bat. So this is a recommendation to fill Jimmy Kidd's spot on the airport commission. I entertain a motion in a second to approve what the airport commission had already okayed.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? I'll ask for a roll call.
Barnes.
Yes.
Hastings.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Pistol.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Sorry, Harvey, you're stuck, and thank you. So you can stick around and watch this or head on out. You can stick around or
Okay, thank you.
we'll let you go on good behavior. Well, thank you very much. Brings us down to animal control. Rita Tharp.
Okay, it's been pretty busy on there. Currently, we have 14 dogs and 11 cats. Got another dog this morning. It was in 65 highway, gonna cause a wreck, you know. It's a pup. Should be easy to adopt out. And we have, we adopted out 3 cats and 4 dogs. we've had 2 people sponsor adoptions, which means those dogs have been paid. I went on 10 calls. We had donations from Walmart. 4 people brought in blankets and donated various items. There's gonna be 5 workers from First Arkansas Bank and Trust. My daughter is a manager at First Arkansas Bank and Trust in Damascus, and she has gathered up 5 workers. They're gonna come in on October 27th to volunteer. I have been in touch with Mutt Rescue in Chicopee, Massachusetts. She told me that her transports were booked for 5 weeks, but at that point, she would need 40 dogs every 2 weeks, which I can't supply that many, but she'll pick up down here, she'll hit Fairfield Bay, hours, whatever. I did send her pictures of all that we had, names, information, and she sent back adorable with a heart and said she would contact me as time got a little closer. So, and they do come to the shelter from Massachusetts and physically pick them up. So I don't have to take them to me or like it used to be. Our Facebook page is growing. Our City of Clinton Animal Control page, we now are at over 400 followers, which is good. I did have a group of kids from the school over at FCCLA. I had 3 young ladies come down and talk to me about, it's part of that $3,000 grant we got. I work with the schools, Southside Clinton, Charlie. And the kids plan, like they're wanting to plan a fundraiser, you know, and they want to be the ones to do it. And I just work with them on that and whatever. So we've got in a couple of weeks, we have another meeting to try to put something together. See what they've got put together, I'll put it like that. But other than that, everything's going well. Does anybody have any questions?
Facility hanging in there pretty good?
Yes.
Hey, I appreciate you that you've done a really good job, and you talked on the front end about keeping relationships, and that matters. I mean, that can really help get these animals a home and a good
Yes.
home, so that's,
Of course, Fairfield Bay and I work together.
right,
If one's in the jam, the other one helps bail out. I mean, that's what you do.
sure.
And Massachusetts, Connecticut, even, pack leaders, I have contacted them as well.
Okay.
So, hopefully we'll be rolling them out here.
Anything for Rita? Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Brings us down to Fire Department, Chief D.L. Webb report.
We've been pretty busy the last month. We've had a lift assist for Botkinburg and Survival Flight just yesterday. We had a false alarm again at Leffler Estates. Smoke alarm, which also was a false alarm at the house up there on 65 South across from KFC. We assisted Culpeper with a pretty good grass fire they had out at Culpeper. We had grass fire down Lynch Drive, right down the power lines. Wasn't too bad. We assisted Allred with a possible structure fire. There was no fire, but by the time Allred could have got there, we got there quicker. So we were able to help them out that way. And we also worked an accident in front of Tractor Supply. We're halfway through our CPR class. Half the guys got CPR, other half will get it next Thursday. Hose tests, we've tested 2 trucks. We'll finish them up this Sunday. We have a wildland class coming up October the 23rd, 24th. That's a Monday and Tuesday. And then Sean has set up a propane tank class for the early part of November. So we've been, for December, I'm sorry. Today, Casey and Mike Sykes, they took the fire truck up to preschool to give the kids a fire safety program, so we're working with community as best we can. And then speaking with the community, homecoming parade is next Friday. I'm assuming around 3:30ish, 4 o'clock, whenever the buses get out of the way. We'll be coming down the hill like we normally do and around the courthouse square and back up to the school. And then October the 31st is Halloween. We'll be Scare on the Square. I need permission from y'all to shut the streets down, say from 5 o'clock till 10.
Yeah, I'll entertain a motion second to close the Court Square and connecting streets like we always do from 5 to 10 on Tuesday the 31st.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All right. Somebody probably did. I can't hear Harvey. We had 2 or 3 seconds.
I thought we already did this.
Oh,
We didn't? Okay.
oh, did we do it last meeting?
I think
that
we
was
talked
earlier
about it
review.
and said we do it this meeting.
Is that?
I think we just talked about it last meeting, but I.
Yeah, I
do it
think
this meeting.
we did the Mark Story deal.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and vote on this. We'll make sure we get it closed.
Barnes,
Yes.
Hastings,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Pistol,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Cool. That's all I have.
Other than that, that's all I've got. If there's any questions I can answer, I'll be glad to answer.
Go ahead.
I noticed there's some fire hydrants up 95 that's not, working. I don't know if y'all fix them or,
We currently have 2 of our guys doing hydrant tests. And whenever they find a hydrant that's not working, they'll either bag it and then get with the water department, and the water department will take care of it from there. Like the one by Tractor Supply, that was one of the first ones we found that wasn't working correctly, and it's not working. There's been an issue with that one for a while, so I got with Will. We're gonna remove that hydrant because it's not necessary, but I know he's got some up at 95. And I think he knows about it.
There's just one I know about, is there more than
It's
one?
just the one that I know of.
that's all one I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we gonna have to renew that lease on that building we're renting for the fire truck?
Yeah, I think we'll do it a month by month, but at the end of the year with Justin, yeah, we'll have to do
Well,
it.
I'm seeing that somewhere, I think it ran out in 21, right?
I don't know, he's just been pretty good, gracious, but,
I didn't realize it'd been that long.
yeah, no, and trust me, okay. Oh, I tell you,
Yes, it's been 20 years.
yeah, we're
You should
getting,
have
What-
you should have had a month-to-month renewal clause in the
Yeah.
lease.
Is the rent gonna go up, or?
yeah, it will, I probably will, yeah. But so far, we've had a pretty good landlord. That's
Yes.
all I gotta say. And we did send Josh Stewart, our architect, we made a payment for him, and he's starting to see getting some legs under that. He'll give us the pretty good printout, and I think the Soils guy or something's coming up.
I think it's down to the engineers. I had one of them call me the other day wanting to know what water, electricity, internet, that kind of stuff that we would use. I know Will and me were talking about it. They contacted him. So I think we're getting pretty close to them presenting us with, here's what we got. Do y'all want to put it out for bid, see any changes, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good, so. Anything else under fire? Thank you, Chief. Brings us down to Parks and Street Department. Charles Wilson, we'll start with Parks.
The grass has finally slowed down. We're doing a final cut, hopefully for the year, other than the ryegrass and fescues out there might come up. But they started the projects on doing the dugout cover, the backstop covers for the.
Oh, for the, down at behind.
Stage one.
Yeah, stage one.
Stage one.
Everything's
Yeah.
looking good. We got stage one going. That guy's doing an excellent job. Can't brag on him enough. Everything's good and heavy. He's got it anchored down good, so.
I got a few calls and saying, hey, I think you should have put the high side.
Yeah.
We're not gonna run water onto the field, but like Jason said, stage one, Jason
one.
we talked early on about making that whole complex covering it and looking like the bridge over there crosses the pond, kinda match it. And, we'll put gutters on it and we'll take the water out, so there's
Yeah, and
quite a bit of thought that went into it. And along with that, Mitzi Hargan from White River called the other day, and I said, hey, we got $100,000, I think we can get on that, and, she said, but probably won't get it this year. After I was excited, and then, so I said, we're in the running really well. She texted, or the email the other day and said we scored perfect on the deal, and so we have, I think, in December, go down and, we're in the we're up for it to be approved, so we go down there and say why we need it, so we're in pretty good shape on that, so we'll see.
Yeah. And, I mean, and when they're done with it, I mean, during off season, you can actually use it as a family pavilion, the way it's gonna be designed.
Yeah,
So
it's
it'll really
very
be
stout,
assets,
if you
yeah.
look
Well,
at it.
There's plenty of room there, so if you got a big group, I mean,
Yeah,
you'll have
and,
room to actually use it, utilize it.
One issue was, well, the visibility, you could have made it higher, and you could have, but obvious reasons, you gotta keep going up, and this'll be the height that'll look good, and we can work with it, and
Yep.
we won't have something 60 feet up in the air that we.
And we have some issues with the stage. It's,
Oh, yeah.
it's settling and pulling apart, so we were hoping he'd give us a quote on re-anchoring some of that stuff, so we've got, and I'm sure it's from the floods and just settling and all that, so he's got some ideas on how to fix it, but we've got to get it pulled back together. One part's settling and one part's not settling, so it's pulling it apart.
He'll give us an estimate, and it'll be reasonable. It's not like, let me work here forever, but he's doing a good job. The other thing was, that I confused when you asked about, whoever asked that, the fences up at school, the baseball field, I didn't.
They've got new ones in. The
What's
school
that?
the school done that. I think they got some grant money and
Right.
I think they got it all plugged in.
Yeah,
I'm
there was
not-
an issue of like, the fence kind of went back where it was, so if they use that for softball, they may put a temporary fence in. I never got with Jay on that. And also with Tim Smith on the trap shooting, we're y'all okayed that, but I thought by this meeting would say we're gonna put it here, but I looked at it again and it's very doable, it's a good place, so. Anything else?
On that, Charles and I, we may have to give just an update maybe for me or stuff on this baseball thing, because there's so much stuff going on. So how is that going to affect if they take that field and move it and they want to make a softball field there? How is that going to affect baseball? Like when
It won't affect baseball any because nobody's utilized that field or used it in years.
No, they're talking about.
Oh, field two?
Yeah, field two.
Oh, if they use
Home
field
run
two,
derby.
if they switch it and move the fences around, it'll be that's a Craig Fleet question right there.
And how,
I mean, there's a lot.
who's pulling maintenance on that down there?
Silver Monster.
Craig
Is
does,
Craig pulling?
he does everything inside the fields and then we do everything on the outside and the school helps us too. They mow some on the banks and
So if they move that and they put the softball field up there, what are we gonna do? And there's gonna be an issue, because there's gonna be on baseballs, there's gonna be something where we have to adjust or do something with any of those softball fields in the city park for baseball?
you'll have to move all the fences. I moved all the fences in to accommodate for the softball and baseball's got a longer fence line, so all the fences will have to be pushed back out and a little farther than what they was originally.
So I'm just wondering, are there gonna be enough fields for baseball, for the kids to play baseball? How the schedule all?
Right now, it's kind of touch and go. I mean, that's more of I can't honestly answer that question. I know there's a lot of kids that play baseball and there's a lot of teams that play and a lot that practice. But usually there's a little bit of transition there. It's just the only thing I think, I mean, don't hold me to it, it'll interfere some practices. But I think baseball doesn't come in at softball's on its way out. It's just unless they have a tournament, and that's where it'll cause conflict is on a tournament. If they,
Generally speaking, they're on different nights.
well,
Softball's Monday and Thursday, and baseball's Tuesday and Friday, generally speaking.
yeah, but I mean it depends on how
I'm just
they.
more concerned
Well,
about
The majority.
the number of fields versus the number of teams,
Yeah,
and then the seasons, and I mean.
those
I'm
fields
talking
are.
about
I think what we're looking at doing here is the school's high school softball team and junior high is looking at, instead of coming to the fields down here, to go into field two. So I think that's where it's gonna affect baseball.
They're gonna do field 2,
Field 2, make it a softball field for the school.
Like it was 10 years
Like it, well, back years ago, they used to put a temporary fence up,
mhm.
but now they're looking at using field 2 as a softball field for the school.
Not field 4, which is what they were thinking about.
Would it be a deep softball field, or would they do the fence and we need to, is one of ours at the park deep enough to turn into the 10-year-old and, no?
I don't think so.
Field 3 would be the only chance yet.
At least 250.
Softball's like 200
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
180?
Well, even in field 3, they bring in, there's a other fence they bring in sometimes down there.
Not no more, not at the big park. We moved all the
All
fences
three of
in
them.
40
Yeah,
feet.
they're all
I just got through doing all that transition and moving everything in, so.
Yeah, they're all softball.
And maybe I just, and probably this is the case, just forgot why we have a field in the city park for high school softball, why they wouldn't wanna go and move it someplace else. But I probably forgot that reason.
Well, I mean, moving the softball fields back to school, because it's just, whenever you got a couple games, some of them kids might be playing baseball and they wanna they wanna be able to watch the softball girls play too. And by the time you leave there, get out, get down there, they'll miss most of the game. It's kind of,
Well, another issue is you've got school kids leaving school and walking all the way to town, across
they're
the highway to
driving,
get to
yeah,
the.
trying to drive down there, and so, the best bet would be if they utilize that, then we try to utilize the forgotten field. Nobody uses that little bitty field anymore, so why can't we pull some stuff up and get it all shifted around and get it pulled back and get some angles there, and that way.
What about field 4?
Yeah, we all need to work together and try to figure out a good medium that, okay, yes, this will work.
I think that's my point. They need to get this stuff figured out before baseball and softball.
Well, we better get started. It'll be on top of it before you know
I
it.
think the main issue, it may all be solved, it may solve itself after the first of the year, possibly,
Yeah,
but I think we're gonna have to,
have a plan.
we got a plan to do
Gotcha,
at least for a year,
gotcha.
and then we can see from that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I say, the worst case scenario for the city is no home games.
Yeah, and it may be such a thing as, I don't know the specs on a baseball field for whatever age group, but the first thing you wanna do is go down there and have somebody survey that and say, yeah, if you turn the field this way and move it to here, it'll fit. That's the number one key right there. Then you know what you gotta move out of the way and what you gotta fix to go ahead and utilize the whole facility.
Are
So,
they gonna have to shorten field 2 to make it a girls softball field?
yeah, it can only be
200, I think.
yeah.
I think it's 200 and 240. Is that 240 at the center or?
200 from
No, I'm
the,
talking about right now.
no, it's 200 from the home plate to the fence is 200 feet.
No.
No, he means what is field 2 right
Silver
now?
Monster Field, it's like the
Oh,
two.
at high school?
270 the center.
No,
Field 2.
It's like-
At high school?
The one that they're gonna
Yeah.
start using, the one they're wanting to
They're
start
gonna
using
have
for
to
girls
move that
softball.
Field 2
What
is
is it
260,
before they move
270
the
right
field?
Yeah, yeah, it's way out
That's,
there.
that big tall
It's way
fence
up
is,
there.
I guess, the 240.
It's way out there. Yeah. The ones at high school is deep. I don't know what they measure.
It'd have to come in about 50 foot, 50, 60 feet from center field.
I think it's 300 there.
well, obviously it's a priority that probably you and I and Craig and Jay, Tim, and DL need to kind of go. You're
Yeah.
right, you made that point a long time ago, and they decided easy fix for the school, who owns the land, would just be to put the fence where they needed it. And then we have to find a place, anything we can do in our park down here, or
Yep.
the forgotten field, and maybe not.
I'm just worried about,
Right.
winterizing the fields and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to have somebody do a whole bunch of stuff on it and it gets tore up or whatever,
We'll talk to
Nothing.
Yeah,
school before next meeting, sounds
yeah,
like.
I was not aware of any field changes or any of that, but, I'll jump aboard anytime and do my best to come into a compromise with everybody.
Essentially, we could lose city league baseball up there. It'd be cut down to one field.
Yeah,
And you can't do much of anything on field 3 outside of 10, 8 years old. You can't.
It'd be a
Too small.
slugfest.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much car windshields.
Okay, we'll just have to, I mean, we could talk about it forever, we obviously need to get a plan on that. Other thing is we've got, Tricia Bradford?
Tisha.
Come on up here with this microphone so we can hear you. I think we had some soccer going. Melanie Beltran talked to me the other day, and I think she talked to you about getting a spring soccer league. So, I said, well, come talk to the council and, start thinking along those lines. So just tell them who you are and why we need that. And
I'm Tisha Bradford. Really the reason that I started even asking about it is my son's been asking for years if he could play soccer. And the closest place to play soccer is in Greenbrier. And there's just no way I can afford to drive down there 2 or 3 days a week for practices and stuff. And so I got on Facebook and asked if there was other people interested or people that would be interested in coaches and coaching and stuff. And I got a lot more than I expected to. So there's a lot of people interested in it and stuff. So I just wanted to try to find out if it would be possible to maybe have something at the park or somewhere. I know there used to be some goals there, but I haven't been up there in a while, so I don't know. But someone told me that they were too small for an actual team and everything, so I don't know a whole lot about it or anything. I don't really know anything about soccer, but I'm trying to learn everything because, it would be awesome for the kids to have something else to be able to play here.
yeah, and I think we had one for.
Are we wanting to try to put in are you wanting to try to put in like a permanent field or a permanent spot of some kind? Or?
I didn't know if we had the space or anything to be able to actually
Well,
put
that's-
like a field to actually play on.
Yeah.
But if something maybe that they could practice on, games and stuff in Greenbrier or somewhere else wouldn't be that big of a deal if we at least had somewhere to practice on.
Yeah, if it's not during softball or anything, you practice anywhere. They can practice there on the softball fields and stuff like that.
Maybe where the
Yeah.
practice football field
Yeah.
is. If there's I don't know how big a soccer field, I'm assuming it's less than the size of a football.
There was some old,
No, it's bigger.
yeah, there was some old goals out there, but during the flood, it washed them and messed them up, and we gathered them up. I still got them, but they're bent and busted all to pieces, and the nets are ripped.
I think the goals that are at the park now belong to the guys.
Yeah, now there's a group that comes in that does a whole lot of that. There's actually goals out there right now. They come out there and play all the
Usually
time.
Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, so.
And they might be good to even work with the kids. Because there's some guys that are really good around here at soccer, and there's one of the younger kids that plays in Kansas City for semi-professional soccer, and he's not even out of high school yet, I don't think.
I'd ease down there on a Sunday and see if I could catch them and do a little chatting with them and see what you find. They may jump right aboard.
Yeah, that's just what it was.
Yeah.
Find out if it was okay for us to use.
Yes, exactly. It's kind of
That's where they live every Sunday.
you can use them fields, that whole park is for the public to use.
Well, I just wanted you left a couple messages to me, and then I talked to Melanie about that, and I said, I wanted you to just come introduce yourself, and
Yes.
there's interest in that. I think we had something kind of going at one time.
Yeah, they actually practiced on one of the softball fields. I think field 3, they they had them a short system there and practiced on the grass in the short system.
I think it's surface area,
It
probably.
was smoother and flatter. Even back there where they practice their soccer now, it's kind of rolly, but they actually did utilize one of the softball fields for a long time, and then it just kind of quit, so.
So if we got like some goals to set up, can we?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
You can practice, given the fact my daughter plays soccer, and she played in Greenbrier, and she played club soccer right now, my middle child. And she's going to school in Greenbrier to play soccer, that's why she's there. So you can use those, I've seen kids actually on the football field, and practice it. And you can set up a goal and you can do skill work anywhere.
Yeah.
But as far as having a game and doing something like that, all that's gonna be non-regulation. It's not the right, it's not the right size and stuff. But I think there's enough interest, given the fact that, Conway's putting in 6 fields, soccer fields on their park, on Museum Drive, all that stuff. So it's not gonna be, it's a sport that's only gonna grow. It's gonna grow kind of like pickleball, I guess, for young people on soccer. So, I mean, the interest is gonna be, in fact, there's probably, I've talked to school and stuff, there's enough kids at school right now, and they've got teachers up there that actually said they'd coach if we would have it. So it's gonna be something that's not, it's gonna grow, the sport's gonna grow. I mean, our football is Europe, and everybody else in the world's football is soccer, So, when you have that kind of influence, you're gonna have more kids that are gonna wanna do it. And I've made that drive, and it's worth it for your kids, but you're driving 30 miles one way to do practices, and then if you have games and stuff on that kind of stuff, so.
Now, do they have in Greenbrier, do they have a league, Tim? That you
Yes.
can set up
Yes.
a team here and take down?
They've got a league, and then there's several organizations that out of Little Rock and some other things that have club soccer programs, and like my daughter's playing for one out of Searcy.
Right.
And so there's one in Searcy, there's a few in Little Rock that play, and so it's like anything else, any other sport. You start playing league, if you've got some ability and talent you want to take to the next level, then you go up to club soccer, and then, those people in club soccer, they're looking at getting noticed, probably play in college someplace, that kind of thing. And I guess you can take it as far as you want to, but I know there's plenty enough kids around Clinton that would play it and do it. So, but like anything for skill, all you need is, you don't even need a regulation though. I guess you could if you really want to get technical, but if you're having somebody come in and work drills and footwork and all that kind of stuff, you can just set that up anywhere.
When is the normal season for the little kids, or for the young ones, soccer?
I believe it's in the spring. I don't know exact dates or anything like that.
It's the same time with
So,
baseball.
well, that's what I was
It
asking.
is, you got a fall, if it's league stuff, you got league in the fall and in the spring. In the older clubs, because soccer season is in the spring, you can play league, but you can't interfere. It's kind of like the AAA and stuff like that on whenever your season starts, like for high school stuff. But most of it's going to be in the fall, and when they get older, they won't be able to play in the spring because those players will be playing on a high school team or something like that, so they won't be able to play until their season's over with.
I've got a spot I'll clean up and we'll clean it up this winter and look at it and bring this back to my attention first part of spring. We may have you a spot. I may know where a spot is. It's there by the tennis court, straight out in front of it. And swing in, park there at the tennis court and just walk right out. There's a big flat spot out there, but we'll have to do some bush hogging and cleaning and see if we can get it utilized where y'all can use it. It's a big, long, wide strip, so.
Well, and if it's in the spring, then where the football,
Well, Pee Wee
or
football.
where Pee Wee football's practicing will be,
Yeah,
that'll be empty.
yeah.
See, that's, you'll be able to use that all spring long. In the fall, there's no, some of the softball fields will be able to utilize those, the outfields or, to practice, do that type of stuff. So that'll be, depending on what part of the year, you're always gonna have, there's somewhere down there that you can practice.
Yeah, even when you swing in and turn into the parking lot, there's some pretty good sized flat spots out under them shade trees.
Right there behind the concession stand in field 3, that
Yeah.
big area right there, nobody's ever in there practicing unless somebody's doing kickball or something, so there's another area right there that you could set up some goals to practice.
We'll try to accommodate it.
Yeah.
Charles will have a good idea. But he's easy to find, he's using that breezeway, taking a nap down there.
Yeah.
But, no, I just don't want you to come and tell who you are, and there's more than one person been interested in that, so we'll try to accommodate that as we can. Definitely address it the next, meeting. Definitely we got to that softball, baseball, and then we'll see what we come up
Yeah.
with. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut anything else. Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you
You
very
bet.
much.
And like I say, you can come and go as you please, you don't have to. Anything else in parks? Brings us to streets, Charles?
We're trying to get everything finalized bush hog. We've been hammering away on that, trying to get here and there, hit and miss. And it's about time to start doing Christmas lights, so we just we'll work a little while on this and work a little while on that. So we just been rotating around, but we're gonna have to get started on the lighting thing pretty quick. So they done some patchwork, but Richard and I talked to them, and we're gonna have them come back and fix and redo it. So
Yeah, that was the mayor dropped the ball on that deal. We'll get that straight. We're gonna not touch it for right now, but we think we could tie that in a little bit better there on Main Street. And I talked to the guy, and he said, hey, we'll come back and make it right, and talk to Will and Charles. As of right now, let's just keep, moving forward and see how that settles, and we do some other spots, we'll go ahead and hit that one again, dress that up. We don't-
yeah, and if it settles like the one over there going into the shop, it'll actually be awesome, because the one over at the shop's about 2 inches low, where this one's 2 inches high. So now it's like this. So
Maybe they just had the plan for.
yeah, but and now asphalt is not like concrete. It's not a liquid that you can shimmy off. I mean, it's a guessing game when you put it on there and you start rolling it and packing it. It's a guessing game.
What's the plan with there where you turn to go to Davis?
If they don't have a grinder to do some grinding work, and then
I mean, the big
we're gonna cut it out and tear it
Well,
out.
we
They
kind of,
they try to
It's
tell
not
it being,
it's not a dip no more. It's a
Oh,
bump.
gotcha. I've been down there.
It's a hump now.
you don't spill as much coffee now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of half a cup, it's 3/4 of a
So
cup.
that's what y'all were talking about, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Charles is in the breezeway.
Yes.
Heat water running down from the fire department when it comes off the hill. Part of the burn.
We'll fix that. Anything else on it? I had a couple of things. One is, and I'll get one, take a picture of this. The school is gonna do a run with the red. There's a couple of, I think I can put these together. We got the chili cook-off coming up on the 21st, and we usually close off the court square. We usually probably do that from about 6 to 1 or 2 o'clock.
2, I think.
Yeah, 6 to 2 on the 21st of October. I'd like to close the court square down and connecting streets associated with that. And also, Valerie Lawson is having a FCCLA fundraiser walk run on Saturday, November the 4th, from 8 to 9 is the actual walk, and I'd like to close down her route, and I've handed all that out to all the council. Maybe from 7:30 to 10 a.m. We give us plenty of time. Parts of Patton, Yellow Jacket, Fraser, and Hall Street, and any other streets as needed for that event. And I'd like to do that on Saturday, November the 4th, from 7:30 to 10. So we got chili cook-off closing the court square on that date that I mentioned, and also the streets on November the 4th, October 21st on the chili, November the 4th, 7:30 to 10 on those streets I mentioned for the route for that walk run. And here's a little flyer on that. It's $30 entry, starts at Clinton High School, kind of goes around those streets. All proceeds go to high school FCCLA scholarships, and there's a number to call and et cetera, and all that. So I'll entertain a motion in a second to close those streets on those dates.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion or questions on that?
On the run walk thing, if we close these streets like Hall Street and Fraser Street, do they need to go up there maybe before this event and tell the people that live there, hey, if you need out?
Yeah, I will do that for sure. And then, like I say, I was telling somebody before me, I'll go up there the night before and actually put the cones up and then walk over and Oscar or whoever, I know most of those people, Miss Allen, and say, we're gonna be doing this in the morning.
Right.
And I'll get with Chief Burdock, and they're really good about, you know, the route. And they won't let me drive the route out in front of them though, because I can't handle that. That's the ones. But anyway, yeah, definitely we'll check with everybody's affected. It's just for 1 hour. That's all we've let them know. Anything else? Oh, that's for a while.
Barnes,
Yes.
Hastings,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Pistol,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Okay, anything else from you or anybody else on streets? Thank you. Brings us down to, Police Department report, Chief Jay Murdoch. Glad to see you.
You guys got a copy of our report. We've been pretty busy. Our calls for service are down over the month of September, which is kind of strange because that's still chuck wagon time at the first of the month. But that's good. They gave us time. If you noticed in our report, our employees took 192 hours of training. So we trained a lot over the month. Other than that, we did 5 animal patrol calls while Miss Reed was off duty. So we took care of that for her. No dogs, no cats picked up. One thing that I've got that did not make my report is the start of the month of September, the state got a grant for Narcan for all our officers. And we got our first Narcan save last night. I want to give a shout out to a couple of my officers. They responded to an unresponsive subject, wasn't breathing. They initiated CPR while waiting on the ambulance. Hit the guy with Narcan. He came to long enough to get transported by the ambulance, and we talked to him this morning, and he's doing all right. So that was Officer Mahan and Detective Baker. So I just want to put that out there. They did a fantastic job last night.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
So, unless you have any questions. 95 West today. We assisted Drug Task Force on a search warrant, and that's about all I can say.
Anything else you talked about? I just love continuing it pays off, and that's a really...
Yeah, I don't know if you guys looked at my report, but we certified 1 FTO. We did the basic crime scene processing course for all my patrol guys here. We'll be doing another one in November for crime scene photography. We're really glad CJI came up and did that. 2 of my officers completed a defensive tactics instructor's course. So we've had other departments say, hey, you guys, you got these instructors, can you put on training for us? So we're actually getting to the point now, other departments are reaching out to us to train their officers, so I'm pretty proud of that. And we've got another officer that completed the Child First Forensic Interviewers course. So if there's a child abuse case, Officer Vance and Officer Detective Baker are now trained to do the Child Advocacy Center forensic interview. So we're kind of trying to bring a lot of stuff that we used to export, you know, how the state police or crimes against children do. We're trying to bring all those skills into the department so we can do these investigations ourselves without having to rely on other people, because they get busy too. So that's kind of where we're at.
Okay. Anything else for the chief? Thank you. Brings us to Water Sewer Department report. Will Hitchie.
Hey, Clinton's water loss this last month was 17%. That's probably the lowest we've ever had it. Will don't like just get all excited. The wagon races had a lot to do with that. Our sales, the more we sell, the better it looks. But during this time, we also fixed a couple really big leaks. I was telling the guys in the water board meeting earlier, one of them was on a small 4-inch line going behind the annex building that feeds one doctor's clinic. And they actually Never found anything wet or anything. We were checking manholes, trying to find infiltration. And all of a sudden, just all this water was flowing down the sewer lines. And they got it fixed the part where it was making it into the sewer line, and then got to investigating how long it had been since the fiber had been put in, because it had been hit when it was bored and put in. The fiber was running through the water line. And it was, if I'm not mistaken, 07. But it was never showing up on the ground going to the sewer line. Our sewer ponds are about empty now, and our water loss went down about $200,000 a day from the water plant. So that's a huge find. So they did all that during the wagon races while it was going on too. So we made more sales, found that big leak, and then we also had that big leak that had come up down there about the bulk plant. So we got that taken care of at the same time. So it looks really good. I was actually proud to see that whenever Donna handed me the paperwork and I got to look at it, I was kind of floored. But anyhow, Burnt Ridge was at 15.8%, so 16%, and Denard was at 17% this last month. So everything's looking pretty good this month. Chemical cost is down to 12 cents per thousand. We talked about that last month. We're still down because of manganese isn't back up. And then we had a bid out a couple weeks ago for the PD Creek project, moving that water line for the state highway move. We had 3 bidders come in, and the lowest bid was put in by NLS Construction. They've done some work for us before, and they were at $347,528.73. We were expecting somewhere in the $500,000 range. The other 2 bids were pretty competitive, pretty close, and we decided to go with that lower bidder. So that was put out, accepted, and they're going to be starting on that pretty quick.
What was that? What they come in at? I missed it.
It was $347,528.73.
Cool.
We accepted that. I don't know if you guys have noticed that Donna had sent out a email talking about the board training coming up. I know we talked last month that some of our water board members were going to go November the 3rd. That is that first Friday in November. We had said that we would sign you up if you wanted to. There's a little hitch in that. She has sent you a link. They want you to make a personal ID number that's going to consist of the first 3 letters of your last name and the last 4 numbers of your social security number. That will be on state record. That way, if anyone goes in to look, they know you had the training. If you don't want to go in there and do it yourself, I know I think Adam Junkins had done it. He said it didn't take 5 seconds. You just had to enter it up, fill in information, you're signed up. But if you do want Donna to do it, you will have to send her the last 4. I think she can figure out the first 3 of your last name, but the last 4 have to be sent. So if you don't want her to have that, she doesn't care to do it for you, but I just wanted to pass that on. There's the November 3rd, and I just looked, or 4th, I just looked up the next one, and the last one to get qualified for the end of the year is December the 8th. That's the second Friday in December.
When do we have to have that done by for November the 3rd?
Do what?
That.
It would be nice to have it in pretty quick, because there's only 2 more opportunities, and that classroom can only hold so much. And the deadline is
November 3rd.
Yeah, no. Did I say, is it 3rd or?
November 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah, he said, yeah, he looked, so yeah.
Yeah, and it's the December 8th would be the next and last chance to get it, because I did get a thing in this last week, and it was saying that, deadline is December 31st.
And that's required now
It is required through the whole state of Arkansas, yes.
for council members and.
Council members and board, if you're on a water board or if you're a city-owned, water system, it's required.
Okay. Anything else under water sewer? Thanks. Brings us down to zoning, Tim Clark.
I guess everybody, some people know this Dollar Tree broke ground today, so that project started. Petty Jean, their contractor pulled a permit. They'll be starting that solar panel project pretty soon. I had the yearly floodplain conference the last 3 days, and I think it was November of 2019 when me and Richard went to Little Rock and met with WIT. I'd spent a couple of years proving to them that our current maps are greatly flawed. And she said, well, we need to start the process to get y'all new maps, and she said it'll be 5 years. And I said, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Of course, it's not gonna take 5 years. And I was wrong. And so on Monday, when I walked into the conference, first person I saw was Lee Brashoner, the engineer that did the presentation for us, and they did our study. And he's talking to the new FEMA Region 6 guy. And he introduces me to him, and he says, oh yeah, Clinton, we just started looking at your stuff. And my first instinct was to say that stuff that was submitted last November, but I didn't. And I'm glad I did, because he was the first person that did his presentation. And he very politely gave a lot of information, but in a roundabout way said, I get lots of phone calls, just like everybody at this table does and everybody up there does. Why can't you just? And if I was in your position, it'd be easy if you would just. And you want to say, you have no idea what you're talking about. So he very politely explained to everybody what was going on. I ended up not showing my frustration. I ended up taking the guy to lunch, is what I did. Because FEMA Region 6 is Arkansas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Texas, and New Mexico. And along with our project, they have between 900 and 1,000 other projects going on right now. So to get frustrated at him and call him, as you know, it's human nature to say, well, I've got a lot of other projects to work on. I'll put this one over here for now. And when we went to lunch, he kind of explained some stuff to me that, you just don't know what you don't know. And right now, our project, which it is to me still kind of ridiculous, but ours has gone relatively quicker than the majority of them do. Some of that is because we're lowering base flood elevation and getting some areas out of the floodplain, when other communities, they're putting them in the floodplain. So they're fighting on it. And so they go back and forth for a long time, no, we've done no. Yeah, that is in the floodplain in the community. So no, it's not. So where they're at now, reviewing it, probably in the spring of next year, they will send us, just like Lee did, okay, here's what we've come up with based on the study. Y'all look over it. Tell us what you think. You got any concerns, any changes you think ought to be made? And that's a 60-day review process. I don't care if we look at it the first day and go, that looks great, overnight it back to him and get going. He said, no, it's a 60-day review process. We're not going to look at it for 60 days. So you might as well take your time. And then if we have changes and we say, no, that don't look right, we send it back to them, they either make the changes or they say why they're not, and they send it back to us. And that's another 60-day review process. And then you send it back to them. That's just how it works. And then once that gets settled, then they send it for congressional approval, which, like our process where we have a public hearing, that's anybody else's opportunity, insurance or whatever, to jump in there and go, I don't like that. And then once that gets finished, he said, what I'm looking for is that letter that says it's done. On this date, it's done, we're finished, it's approved. And at that point, when I get that letter, then it's 6 months from then that they actually go into effect. And that was the only point that I went, well, that's stupid. But then he explained to me that gives everybody time, that gives city council's time, because in his mind, and it's true, you'll have to have an ordinance adopting these new maps, and you'll have to have 3 readings, and that's 3 months, and the insurance company will have to adopt it. So we give 6 months. And then after that 6 months, then it goes into effect, and the lending institutions and everybody starts using that to base their decisions on. And he also said, if you were to have started this process last year or this year, it's no longer 5 years, it's 7 years. And then I couldn't help but say, well, by the time you get your new maps, they're old maps, aren't they? Something might have changed. Well, that's true, but my whole goal is when it's done, and whoever someday I hand this off to, these maps are correct. They're accurate. What you're telling people, you can be sure what you're telling them is the absolute best answer we can give them. And the other thing I talked about with him, in the future, before these go into effect or we get close to it, you know, I got calls last week, I got calls today, am I in the floodplain? In the last 10 years, there's been more high water events than the 60 years previous to that. They're happening more frequently. So, DL, will Clinton, Arkansas ever flood again?
Don't answer that. You don't have to answer that.
Only God knows that.
There you
There's
go.
always a chance. When somebody says, am I in the floodplain? Yeah, you are. If you ask Noah, you bet we all are. It just depends on what zone you're in and what's the likelihood. And I say that, if they ask you, send them to me, but I always say, so in other words, I don't need flood insurance. I'm never gonna tell anybody, you don't need flood insurance. That's your decision. I don't want them to say, well, I got moved from the special flood hazard area to the 500-year floodplain, and the bank doesn't require it. The city guy told me, I don't need flood insurance. Because there is a possibility, if the conditions are right, and it rains hard enough for long enough, it's gonna flood. And I said, well, they did all this damage, and they told me I didn't need it, so I dropped it. That all depends. That's up to them. Whether the bank requires it or not, depends on the zone they're in. But I wouldn't want one of us or me to say, oh no, you don't need flood insurance, drop that. That's up to them based on the information we give them, the information I give them. So at the end of that, I said, tell me when I'm gonna have these maps that I can use, and the banks are using them, and he said spring of 2025. And he said, that is moving on. Which in my mind, I'm thinking that is crazy. That's ridiculous. But in his mind, he's wanting me to give him a hug and say, thank you. And so
Well,
that's exactly what I did.
We paid for it. We don't owe any money on that. And it looks like most of the court square, or all of it, is pretty much out.
Yeah.
But we think, we'll know when we get that deal back.
The maps we have now, yeah, they're flawed, but they're based on the best technology and information they had in 1988. And then when the 65 bypass came through, that changed the whole dynamics of the area. And it stands as a levee. And so most, from the models that have been put forward that are not official, it takes the downtown part, whole part of downtown out of the special flood hazard area, which is the 100-year floodplain. And that's the area that the bank is concerned about. That's all I've got to say about that.
So 2025, and it is paid for. Anything else on zoning? Dare you?
I'm happy because I thought I'd be retired by the time we got to Nassau.
We just got out talk by that salesman. But, okay.
Thanks, Ken.
Have you got any zoning calls about living in a travel trailer in a subdivision, i.e. south of my house?
Yeah,
Yeah, I have to.
and tents.
Yeah, and tents, and canopies, and,
Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah. I think I've talked to everybody that lives in my neighborhood. I didn't know what there is. I mean, is there anything on that? Have you had a chance to look into it?
Yes.
Okay.
The other thing was, and it'll come up under the ordinance, we're gonna do the first reading on several ordinances. We had that workshop. One of them was annexation and de-annexation. May have some annexation, first of next year, bringing somebody in to sit in us. The de-annexation, the guy that wanted out, basically wanted to have some goats, and he saw their ordinance, but I think we're gonna take care of that with the ordinance. I did wanna mention that. we'll have that at the next meeting or the next. That's all I had under zoning. Anything else for Tim? Thank you. Brings us down to unfinished business, none, new business. Have some ordinances for the first reading. The first one is a binary explosive and exploding targets in the first reading. I'll read these. First one is the ordinance prohibiting the use of binary explosives in the city limits and for other purposes. I entertain a motion and second to put this on the first reading. I'll go ahead and read that, and we'll have discussion on it. Whereas the noise created from the use of binary explosives in the city limits creates unreasonable noise and other public safety hazards, and whereas there is a need to prohibit the use of binary explosives in the city limits, therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Clinton, Arkansas, Section 1, Title 7, Section 7.17 of the Code Ordinances of the City of Clinton, Arkansas, is hereby enacted as follows. Chapter 7.17, under binary explosives and exploding targets. The sections are 7.1701 for definitions, .02 for prohibited acts, .03 for penalties, and .04 for other remedies. 7.17.01, the definition. A binary explosive, a binary explosive, two or more components that are advertised and sold together with instruction on how to combine the components to create an explosive material. B, exploding target. Any device which explodes upon impact by a projectile fired from a firearm or similar mechanism. This includes, but is not limited to, binary exploding targets made of separately packed fuel and oxidizers that must be mixed to make an explosive device live, such as, but not limited to, targets marketed under the name Tannerite, Star, and Sure Shot. Detonate, to explode with suddenness and violence. 7.1702, prohibited acts. It shall be unlawful for any person to combine the components of a binary explosive to create an explosive material. B, it shall be unlawful for any person within the limits of the city of Clinton to detonate a binary explosive or exploding target. 7.1703, the penalties, any person violating any provision of these ordinances shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor upon conviction by the District Court of Van Buren County, and shall be subjected to a penalty of not less than $100 plus court costs, and not more than $500 plus court costs. 7.1704, other remedies. No provision of this ordinance shall be construed to impair any common law or statutory cause of action or legal remedy therefrom of any person for injury or damage arising from any violation of this ordinance or from other law. Section 2, servability. If any person of this ordinance is found to be invalid by the decision of any court of competent jurisdiction, such as invalidity shall not affect the renaming sections, phrases, and provisions of this ordinance which remain valid and enforceable. That's the first reading. I'll ask, I guess a vote to put that on the first reading. I guess I should have done that.
You did that.
Any discussion on that? Oh, you need to, I'm sorry, get a vote on
You
that.
got the motion second, but you didn't ask for the vote.
Okay. Go ahead and ask for that vote. Go ahead and read it, and then we'll have to talk about discussion.
Barnes,
All right.
Hastings, Lynch,
Yes.
Pistol,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Any discussion on that? We did that in a workshop. Some of you may not be in there, there may be something part of that you had questions on. I was concerned about blowing up the stump, but apparently I learned that this is just to make a noise. Okay, that'll be the first reading. We'll have the second, maybe the third one at the next meeting, or second one at the next meeting. Next ordinance is mobile home parks and highway commercial, first reading. Entertain a motion, a second, to place this on the first reading.
So moved.
Any discussion? I'll ask for a vote and then I'll read it.
Barnes,
Yes.
Hastings,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Pistol,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
This is an ordinance to prohibit mobile home parks in highway commercial zoning districts and for other purposes, where the city of Clinton's municipal code currently shows mobile home parks and property zoned highways commercial, and whereas there are not any mobile home park permits existing or pending in highway commercial property, and whereas mobile home parks are not desired in highway commercial property, therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Clinton, Arkansas, Section 1, Title 14, Section 14.0102, subsection 3 through 5 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Clinton, Arkansas is hereby amended as follows. 3 through 5, Highway Commercial HC description. The Highway Commercial District is established to serve highway traffic and to accommodate a greater variety of goods and services than permitted in the DC District, but subject to certain enumerated controls. Permitted uses. A, all uses permitted in the downtown commercial DC District. B, highway and automobile orientated retail establishments providing goods and services included but not limited to fruit and vegetable stands, service stations, mobile home sales, camper and trailer sales and service, drive-in restaurants, drive-in theaters, automobile and farm machinery services and sales. Conditional uses. A, all uses permitted in the downtown commercial DC, R1 and R2 district on a conditional basis are permitted in the highway commercial DC district, subject to review and conditions of the planning commission. Recreational vehicle parks with the same conditions as set forth in R3. C, hospitals and convalescent homes with off-street parking. D, light manufacturing which does not distribute the commercial character of the area. E, manufactured or mobile homes to be used as an office or commercial structure. That's the ordinance number 2007-07, section 2. Accessory uses, structures and uses deemed necessary and pertinent to the principal structure and used by the planning zoning commission, not determined to be the character of the zone and subject to the provisions of this zone. Minimum lot area is none. Maximum lot coverage 65%. Minimum lot width none. Minimum front yard. A, 25 feet from the front property line or 55 feet from the center of existing right-of-way, whichever is greater, for non-highway commercial establishments. B, 75 feet from the property line or 90 feet from the center line of existing right-of-way, whichever is greater, for on-highway commercial when parking is provided in front. C, 40 feet from property line or 55 feet from the center line of existing right-of-way, whichever is greater, for on-highway commercial when parking is not provided in front. Minimum side yard, 10 feet from the side property line, except on the corner lot, in which case the minimum side yard should be 25 feet from the property line. For the purpose of this ordinance, the front yard on a corner lot in this district shall be construed to about the street with a higher classification as indicated on the master street plan. In the event that this corner lot abuts two streets of the same classification, the side of the lot which a narrower dimension width shall be construed to be the front yard. Minimum rear yard, 10 feet from the property line except on a lot abutting a lot in a residential district, in which case a rear yard of 25 feet shall be provided. Maximum height structures, 2 stories, and not to exceed 36 feet. Off-street parking, the off-street parking requirements of Article 4 shall apply. loading and unloading. The loading and unloading area requirements of Article 4 shall apply. Special regulations govern access to the property line. A, access to the property. A, all points or driveways to the property shall be approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission. B, the Planning and Zoning Commission may grant temporary permits for bazaars, carnivals, religious meetings, temporary recreation facilities, etc., provided that the use comply with regulations on parking, sanitation, safety, etc., for the area and does not constitute a nuisance for the surrounding property. Property line screenings. A planting or landscaping strip 15 feet wide abutting the front property line and herein defined shall be provided on any lot or parcel which is to be developed subject to requirements established for a visibility triangle in section 3 through 8. And B, a natural trees or plants or artificial fence, barrier, or screening shall be provided on the rear and side property lines at least at eye level, subject to the provisions of a visibility triangle in street intersections 3 through 8. Servability. If any provision of this ordinance is found to be invalid by the decision of any court or competent jurisdiction, such invalidity shall not affect the remaining sections, phrases, and provisions of this ordinance which remain valid and enforceable. Any discussion on any of that for mobile homes? Looks like you're going through it. Next one is amending the rules and regulations concerning hogs, goats, and sheep. I'll entertain a motion in a second to put this on the first reading. Second. I'll ask for a vote.
Burns.
Yes.
Hastings.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Pistol.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
This is an ordinance amending certain rules and regulations concerning hogs, goats, and sheep, and for other purposes.
You can tag out?
Do what?
You can tag out?
Go ahead, you wanna read
I'll
one?
let you, I don't care.
Yeah, go ahead and read it.
We need to vote.
We voted, just gotta read it first reading.
Ordinance number 2023 dash whatever, an ordinance amending certain rules and regulations concerning hogs, goats, and sheep, and for other purposes. Whereas the municipal code of the city of Clinton, Arkansas currently prohibits the keeping of any hogs, goats, or sheep within the city limits, and whereas there is a need to amend the code to allow the keeping of hogs, goats, or sheep under certain circumstances and in compliance with existing zoning ordinances. And whereas there is also a need to repeal the provisions related to cruelty to animals because it is superseded by existing statutory law prohibiting cruelty to animals. Therefore, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Clinton, Arkansas, Section 1, Title 6, Section 6.08.02 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Clinton, Arkansas is hereby amended as follows. 6.08.02 hogs, goats, and sheep. Section 1A, it shall be unlawful for any person to keep, maintain, or permit to run at large within the corporate limits of the city any hogs, goats, and/or sheep except as provided in this chapter. The violation of this section is hereby declared to be a misdemeanor. It shall be the duty of the proper law enforcement official to enforce the provisions hereof. Section 1B, the keeping of hogs, goats, and/or sheep in enclosures as herein provided within the limits of the city shall be under the supervision and control of the proper law enforcement official. Should any of the enclosures become harbors for breeding flies, mosquitoes, and rats, or should they become unsanitary, obnoxious, unhealthful, and discomforting to any of the citizens of the city because of conditions created by keeping said animals. The proper law enforcement official, upon investigation and finding any such conditions to exist, shall serve with written notice on the owners or keepers of the premises as the conditions thereof, by delivering a copy of the notice to the owner or keeper, or by posting same in a conspicuous place on the premises, and if within 5 days after service of notice said owner or keeper has not corrected the conditions, the city attorney is authorized to institute an action in a court of competent jurisdiction to abate same as a nuisance. Section 2, Title 6, Section 6.08.06 of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Clinton, Arkansas is hereby repealed. Section 3, Servability. If any provision of this ordinance is found to be invalid by the decision of any court or competent jurisdiction, such invalidity shall not affect the remaining sections, phrases, and provisions of this ordinance, which remain valid and enforceable.
Any discussion on any of that or any questions?
Can I just make a clarifying comment?
Yes.
In the workshop, this wasn't really discussed as we were kind of focusing on the hogs, sheep, and goats section, but I included the strike through of the little sentence related to cruelty to animals. I want to be real clear. It is a crime in the city of Clinton and Van Buren County and the entire state of Arkansas to commit cruelty to animals. The reason I did that strike through is because it's actually been on the books for a long time, but the legislature passed an actual provision related to cruelty to animals, so it's a statewide thing. It's just not necessary for you to have it on your city code book, and we're not going, even if it exists, we're not going to charge based on a municipal violation. It's going to be charged based on violation of statutory law. So I just want to be clear, since it states that we're repealing that, it's illegal to be cruel to animals anywhere in the state of Arkansas, and we're still going to prosecute that accordingly. So.
Okay.
Just
I
wanted
just
to
had
say
the
that, yeah.
abbreviated form.
This is a cleanup, really,
I got you.
more than anything. Doesn't change anything.
Okay. Anything else on that? Thanks, Sean. Brings us down to ordinance for levying a millage. This is the first reading. I'll entertain a motion, a second, to put this on the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I'll ask for a vote. I'll read it, and we'll have some more discussion if we need to.
Barnes,
Yes.
Hastings.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Pistol.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
This is an ordinance levying a 2.9 mil real and personal property tax for general operations of the city of Clinton, Arkansas, and for other purposes. Whereas the city of Clinton, Arkansas is required to pass an ordinance setting forth the millage rate for property taxes and to be collected for the city of Clinton, Arkansas in the next year. And whereas the city of Clinton, Arkansas desires that property taxes for the year 2023 be set at the same level and assessed and collected in 2024. And whereas such an ordinance must be passed and provided to the Van Buren County's assessor and collector's offices by the time of the Van Buren County's Quorum Court's November reading, now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Clinton, Arkansas, Section 1, the City of Clinton, Arkansas hereby levies and assesses a 2.9 mil property tax on real property and personal property in Van Buren County as prescribed by law for the year 2023, which tax shall be collected by Van Buren County, Arkansas. That's the first reading. Any other discussion or comments on that? If not,
2.9
oh,
mil.
say it
How long has
again.
it been 2.9 mil? Long time?
How long?
Yeah, it stayed that
Yeah,
2.9 mil for.
Ever since I've been here.
Ever since I can remember.
Well, that's a long
That's a
time.
long time, but I guess it's went up since then. Been a long time ago.
I think we're financially, we're doing pretty, I mean, you don't want to say anything, we're solvent, so no need to certainly make it go any higher. That brings us down, if nothing else, it brings us to public comments. Any public comments? Anybody? Thank you, Swifts, for sticking it out, and everybody else. If nothing else, I'll bring us under the mayor's comments. Good to see Jason Lynch here tonight. Gave everybody a scare, so appreciate you coming. Bill Blantz is doing better. He had an open heart surgery. I don't know if he's opened at the store yet, but that's what happened.
Opening back on Monday.
Huh?
I think he's opening back on Monday.
Okay, yeah, I talked to him, and yeah, he's doing great. We're talking about that soccer and a soccer player. That's Oscar's grandson, and Oscar's, a lot of people know him that works, stays in one of John Hargis's rent houses, and big member of the community. His wife passed away, and just last Friday, I think, when we got a service for him on Saturday, and also Larry Bolden. Everybody knows Larry Bolden up here. Sold a lot of cars, a lot of years, a great family. He passed away. He'll be greatly missed in the community, and his services at PD on Saturday from 2 to 3, I think, is visitation. So I just wanted to mention that. There's probably others that I've overlooked. Got a great community, appreciate everybody, and like the Narcan, that's a good thing, Jay. That was a good move. So we got some good departments and great council and a great city. Appreciate everybody. And nothing else, I'll entertain a motion, a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.